Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Constructing the Clubhouse, the world's #1 comedy podcast about building a comedy club in Barcelona in the middle of a pandemic. Of course, every week I am your host, Dr. Matthew John Murtha. Joining me is my co-host, the beautiful and talented Johnny Boy Ellis.
Hello. I'm going to shuffle over so that I'm more on the camera.
Stay in frame, yeah.
For the YouTubes.
For all of our YouTube viewers out there. Hey, John, before we get started, I wanna apologize to the nation of Bulgaria for some comments I made last week. As all of our regular listeners know, I called Bulgaria the armpit of the world.
Mm-hmm.
That is not accurate. I apologize. Everyone knows that the armpit is actually Moldova.
And
But yeah, I think if you think about it, Bulgaria clearly is not the armpit. It's really more like the taint. Flat, featureless, smells like shit. Really only famous because it lies between two much more popular places.
Yeah, it's a barren strip between party centrals.
Yeah, so apologies to my Bulgarian friends out there. I never meant any derision. I never meant to remind you that you live in Bulgaria. It's
Yeah, you've been on a bit of a rampage recently, we had some racism.
I'm doing everything that I can to get myself canceled.
We had a hate crime. We have a code of conduct now as well for the Comedy Clubhouse, which I think you might get pulled up on.
Oh, every week it's a new
thing. But not just you, lots of wacky people around.
Yeah.
This past week.
I'm not sure, what your rundown for today's show is, but I'd say let's talk about some of the more notable events in the past week, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I put Comedy Cookhouse at the start. So yeah, a few different wacky characters.
Who's on your list of Freak of the Week?
Well, there was the smoker downstairs, which is wild.
Right. So I missed that one. I left before Kyla, the security guard, got involved.
So yeah, I'll give you a rundown on the smoker, and then I want to hear about the mooner.
Okay.
So smoker, just an odd dude. He had kind of like a leather jacket on, but then he had like a yellow cardigan on underneath.
Okay.
And he looked a little bit like the bad guy from Cobra Kai, Kreese.
I don't watch that show.
Well, for all the fans.
Isn't Cobra Kai the bad guy?
No. Well, Cobra Kai is in fairness like the gym that's
the bad
kind
guys
of like
use.
the evil gym or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it gets complicated, but anyway, sort of looked like that guy. Just a little odd. And he came in and, when the comedians are all like or people that are here often were sort of sitting in a circle, and he came and kind of forced his way into the circle and was just doing like, hey, what about the show? Are you performing? I might heckle. He kind of had this weird shtick, just a weird feeling. And Kyla,
is he an older guy?
A little bit older, maybe, mid-40s.
Because some guy that night before, he was already out of it. And he was like, hey, are you going on stage tonight? I'm like, no, man, I'm getting out of here. Oh, you got to get on stage. And
I reckon it
real weird vibes.
I reckon it would have been that guy. And look, we have a lot of weird people that hang out at the Comedy Clubhouse, including me and Matt. And, we love weird. And I'll always, when I see people like that, try and give them the benefit of the doubt. But Kyla picked it early on, was like, this guy's trouble. And then wouldn't have been more than 5 minutes after the show started that someone ran upstairs and was like, yeah, this guy's just lit up a joint downstairs and is refusing to leave. He's just like, no, I'm not leaving. So yeah, I mean, by the time I got down there, me and Javi both rushed down there, and he'd already sort of stood up and was making his way out the door. So maybe Kyla was the security.
I heard Kyla gave him the boot. Yeah,
yeah, she would be great at that sort of thing.
She's good at that shit.
For sure. Speaking of people with names, Kyra apparently had a really great time working here as our new sort of security guard / greeter on Friday and Saturday.
Oh, fantastic.
Which is cool. And she said, I just asked her how it went, and she was really enthusiastic about it. She's like, I love talking with people. I know what you guys are doing, so it's easy for me to explain what's going on. She said Javi is the best manager she's ever had in her life across the board, which is great. Really good find.
Present
Javi.
company excluded?
I think probably includes that. Ooh,
Damn.
that's another thing we could have talked about. I'll put a note for it. Anyway, so that was a good thing. So she's going to work tonight, and hopefully permanently if we can justify it.
Great.
Yeah.
I figure we need, for each person that we hire, we need to increase the night minimum by 150 euros.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
So in order to have a bartender, we need to make at least 150 euros on the night.
Mhm.
And then in order to have 2 bartenders, we need to be doing at least 300 euros on the night.
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
bartenders and a ticket taker, it's got to be a minimum 450, 500 euro night.
So now it's kind of like on Saturday we had, Bart, Harvey,
And that's to break even,
Kyra,
folks.
and technically me and you are both working as well
Yeah.
in that situation, obviously not getting paid for it or anything, but there's like 5 people that are there working. If it's a slow night, it's actually bad for us. We do still kind of want to be making lots of money on the Friday and lots of money.
Any money?
All of the days we want to make lots of money.
Money would be fine.
Yeah, so that's just a thing, and we're betting on average that we're gonna be making good money.
Yeah.
I do when we have a 150 night and I'm working, I'm like, that's a great night, that's fine. But when I see like Javi's working and it's a 150 night, I'm like, fuck, that sucks. So that's
exactly
kind of just the way it goes. So tell me about the Muna.
Yeah. So let's hear. This was it was Monday night, right? We were hosting the third round of the Ficker contest. And show gets started downstairs. It's a decent crowd, 30 to 40 maybe in the end. And it's super quiet upstairs, and I'm standing outside on the street having a cigarette, and this troop of like 9 Dutch, Swedish, German, whatever people it's all dudes. They're all like young 20s,
Of course.
all wasted.
Yeah.
And they see me. They're like, "Hey, you know where we could get some shots?" I was like, "I'll sell you some shots." They're like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." They were like, "How much?" I was like, "How much do you want to pay?" He's like, "I don't know. How much are your shots?" I was like, "I'll sell it to you for 3 euros." They go, "Oh, 3 euros a shot? Yeah, okay." It's like, "Excellent. Come on in." So I come in, I pour them our cheapest rum, right?
Yeah.
And while I'm pouring out the shots, and
You
they're
didn't
all
do pina colada shots.
we didn't have any mixed,
Oh, okay.
or else I would have done. There's like some feedback. There it goes. So while I'm pouring the shots, they were asking me what's going on. I'm like, "Yeah, there's a show downstairs. You don't need to go, but you can see from that little glass hole in the floor over there." Like, "Really?" Oh. So I go and I'm back to mixing, and I look up, and this kid has pulled his pants down and is fully sitting on the window.
Yeah.
And then he starts like slamming on the window so that people look up. And I'm like, "What the buddy?"
Don't do the slamming. We've been recording here and people just like whack on the glass as they walk past sometimes. The mooning I do kind of get though. It is pretty much the prime mooning situation, Not that I would do it myself at all, but like I get the drunken temptation to want to do that.
I don't know. But
what was your attitude? Did you lay down the law at that stage?
Yeah, I was like, "What the fuck, man? Like,
Yeah.
I let you in. I'm giving you a deal on shots, and this is how you repay me." Luckily, that glass is like 10 inches thick, and I don't think many people noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one person did because somebody said a woman looked up and goes, "Oh, nuts." I guess his balls were apparent.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But so we made him. I think they made him take an extra shot, and then I sent them on their way.
Cool. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly, you seem to get punished a little bit just for being generally friendly and a little bit of a push-up. Not you specifically,
No, I know what you
but
mean.
in general, running a business, like being hyper assertive and hyper vigilant is like obviously the best way to run a business. Even though like vibe wise, you want to set like a chilled vibe, but it just people push.
You give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Exactly.
I feel like we had another freak of the week this week.
Well, I've got a couple more that I'll talk about. One's the German ex-bartender from Kraft.
Oh.
He just like.
Do we use names here? Benny Boy.
The Benny Boy. I'm not sure. I know the guy, and usually he's kind of fine. He can be a little intense. I think that's probably the general rule is like we're calm, we're relaxed. Anyway, he sort of got me to go for a walk with him the other night. I was like, fine, I know the guy, we'll go. He was very, very excited about whatever it was. And he took me down the road to try and sneak into a haunted house
Yeah.
that we were not allowed in at all. So, like,
Yeah.
he walks through, he's like, come on, like, acting like he knows the guy. I'm like, oh, all right, that's kind of cool. And then whoever's working there is like, no, obviously you can't just come in for free. It's like 20 euros for each of you.
Yeah.
So I, like, walked away at that stage. And then he started wanting to, like, wrestle me. Which I don't really do at all, let alone in the middle of the Bourne.
What?
Yeah, he put me in an arm lock.
Really?
Like he could have broken my arm and was like, "Come on, let's fight." I was like, "No, I'm not. Please don't break my arm, but also I'm not gonna fight now."
That's so funny because I heard both sides of that, or I heard the before and after of that event from his point of view. Because I'm pretty sure it was a Friday night, and I'm hosting Bomb Shelter. And I go outside, and he comes stumbling down, and he'd been partying for like 2 or 3 days in a row. He was high as a kite, and he's like, "Oh, bro, oh man, oh man," and he's got that German accent, which I find adorable. But he's like, "Oh, come, I found a very cool bar." Da, da, da. And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm running a show right now. Like
Yeah.
I'm working. I can't go." And he's like trying to like stroke my arm and like drag me out there. It's like, buddy, I cannot go. He's like, "Oh, but it's really cool."
It's a smart move, by the way. Good decision.
Yeah. So I didn't go. And then, I go back to the show for an hour. I come back and he's there. He's like, "What's with your friend, man?" I was like, "Who?" And he's like, "John. He's so lame." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, I tried to take him to that place. And okay, they try to make us pay, but whatever." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, John didn't want to go because it was 20 euros. I'm like, "Of course not."
Yeah. No, and it was like I was working kind of at the time. I at least needed to be around for whatever was going on. So I was like, 2 minutes fine. If whatever it is, let's check it out. But it became obvious that it would be
An adventure.
very long mandate that I was on all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wasn't interested. Very bizarre situation.
He was like, it was so funny because he was like, "Yeah, I guess I should have paid the first time, but I had such a good time." I'm like, Ben, it doesn't work like that, man.
It makes up for it by having such a good time. No, I found it like very overwhelming at the time. It was like super intense, and also was quite overwhelmed last night. We had great time, by the way, catch for laughs. And, Imperfecto was great as well. So managed to double up. But everyone stuck around for cash for laughs. Vem did a really good job hosting.
Excellent. Had a girl, Vem.
And then, afterwards, I was sitting on the sofa chair, and there was one girl on the couch, and Vem was on sort of the other chair that was there. And Richard came to push past me to sit on the other end of the couch. So there were just two people on the couch, and he came and I let him through. He was like, "Hey," and he like sat down, put his arm on the side of the couch, and said like, "Hey, what's up?" And she like immediately turned around and just like laughed at, I guess, the way that we were sitting. And she started like mimicking us by kind of like lounging out and being like, "Oh, look at me taking up all this space. Oh, I've got," she was like, she wasn't saying it, but it was obvious she was like spreading her legs out to be like, "Oh, look at me and all my balls that I've got," and this kind of thing.
She's taking you down for the man spreading, eh?
Yeah, which is wild because like, first of all, she was like suggesting that he was kind of aggressively trying to talk to her, which he was not at all.
Yeah.
It was not the object of him sitting down at all. It was to have a chat with me after the show, for sure. He didn't sit in like a weird way at all. And there was like only two people on this massive couch. So it came completely out of nowhere. And I thought that it was just like this like hyper feminist thing that sometimes you get where it's like, you're doing one tiny thing and they're assuming that it's like another example of all of the things that everyone does all the time. So I thought maybe there was something like that. But then she just focused on it so much. She started talking about like how masculine we were and who the most masculine was between us. So I just sort of had to say, look, I don't know where this came from. I don't know who you are.
Fuck you, Johnny
boy.
Boy.
No idea who we are.
The life of Johnny Boy Alice. I'm just sitting here minding my own business,
I
and this
wasn't-
woman comes up and is like, "Oh, you're so masculine, God!
I wasn't
take your
actually the
masculinity
most masculine
away."
one in this situation. It was
What?
Richard came out on top of
Oh, yeah?
the masculinity contest, but don't think she was the biggest judge of things.
That's amazing. So your presence threatened her with all of your masculine energy.
Yeah, it seemed like she was threatened, or it seemed like she was just upset at kind of the world or something, and was taking it out on us. But then she kind of like, so we just ignored her and started our own conversation, and then she quickly changed the tone of how she was talking to like be more incorporated. She ended out being a bit more of like a hippie type vibe, so it wasn't just like the hyper feminist thing. It was like she thought she could read palms and
an energy person.
Yeah, she spent 15 minutes trying to read my palm. It was like the last. She was like, "I'm gonna go, but just before, let me tell you what's wrong with you."
Do you think this is maybe a bizarre form of flirting?
She wanted.
Listen to that deep consideration.
Well, she wanted attention for sure. But I actually think it was that she was a bit of like it was like a jilted lover type situation. I think her ex or someone she liked was there. So we were being used as like a foil
venting
for
some stress out.
Yeah. Anyway, just again, just like very, very intense energy to be bringing.
People care a lot.
People care a lot. People care deeply. It's
And
nice.
Johnny Boy's got to spread his legs. He's got to let his
We got big balls. What can I say?
No.
Yeah.
Just for the record, it's all Richard's fault. Who hopefully will be joining us this afternoon for some board games.
He is going to come play board games.
World's #1 new podcast.
Maybe we'll touch on it with him. He probably has a crisper, clearer memory of all the bizarreness. I've blocked it out a little bit.
Yeah. What else did we have on this week? We did some big changes on Wednesday. We had typical adult behavior that night. I could have sworn we had some more freaks
though. We'll keep updating with any.
Speaking of freaks, I want to give a shout out to our #1 listener, Miss Marnie Manning.
Oh yeah, she listened. That's cool.
She's on tour in the U.S., I believe, right now, and she texted just with some reference from our last podcast.
Oh, cool! It's nice. Somebody, Bart did actually. He said, "Teamwork makes the dream work," which is what I call the last podcast. So it's nice. We do individual shout outs to everybody that listens.
To each of our 4 listeners
at any stage.
Yeah.
No, we've been averaging like 100 listens an episode.
Really?
So far, not this last couple because we've had such a big break, but it's
all right,
pretty popular.
Wow.
Actually, and that's only on the podcasting platforms. You wait till YouTube kicks off.
Hell yeah.
And it's going to be wild.
Effing yeah.
How's your mood been today? Because yesterday you
quit. Still cranky.
Yeah. He spit the dummy and quit the world.
Yesterday was a rough day. My Bulgarian friend suggested I not come to Bulgaria.
Right,
but I think I've gotten past that.
Okay.
I think I'm going back to Bulgaria, I should say.
Oh, you think did you? Because initially she was upset because you said the mildly racist thing, which I think is actually unfair, because what Matt was actually doing, for anyone listening, is he's using a story hook, which is you sort of tell the end of the story to get people to be like, oh, I want to listen now. And it was just that the story hook he used was that Bulgaria is the armpit of the world.
All my reasons for hating Bulgaria can be laid at the feet of one terrible night manager of a terrible hotel in Sofia, Bulgaria.
Exactly. But then she was upset because then you went back on your words.
Yeah. I tried to pretend like I didn't say it, and she's like, oh, you don't even have the conviction of your words. And I was like, what the fuck? So, fortunately, she says she's never gonna listen to this podcast again. So, we're down to three listeners.
Shedding listener. We also give specialized shout outs when you stop listening to the podcast.
To our haters as well. What else? Oh, I had like 3 different people cancel on my tonight's show yesterday.
Oh,
in frustrating ways. Yeah. And then some other bullshit. And it's just bullshit, but I said, you know what? I don't want to host Cash for Laughs tonight, and I don't want to do Imperfecto. I'm gonna stay at home and.
Fair enough.
What did I? Oh, I watched that Andor show.
Oh, the new Star Wars one?
Yeah.
Good? I heard it was good, I think.
It's surprising. There's not a single fucking Jedi in the thing, and it's still very watchable. It's enjoyable.
Yeah. There you go. That's where I heard that it was good.
Okay,
I was
yeah.
like, who told me that was good? I heard Matt say that
Matt.
before already. That's cool.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Good to have breaks.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of work, really.
Here? No, it's not.
It's not. We do complain about it. I think if we complain about it to make it seem like more, but it's not.
What's weird for me is that I'm still at the stress levels of working all day and then working another day at night.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, like, I haven't had editing, like, real editing work for 2 or 3 weeks now. So, like, during the day, actually, I'm not doing very much.
Yeah.
But I'm still stressed and pissed at the world.
Yeah, I find with the Clubhouse that there's, like, lots of things to worry about, and that actually the better it goes, that the more people that come, the more things there are to worry about overall. Like, last week's episode was obviously very exciting. We were on a bit of a buzz because we saw the numbers going up and stuff. What I neglected to mention is that the expense numbers have also been going up, right? So we were projected to do 12,000 in drink sales this month, which I think we'll probably fall short of because this week's been a little quiet.
Yeah.
But then the expenses is still like 11,500 euros without, paying ourselves anything or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of.
So you're welcome, Barcelona comedy scene.
No, I mean
That's my feeling. That's why I'm in a bat. I'm like so resentful right now.
Yeah, it can happen.
Yeah.
We get the big cookie at the end though. That's the
What's that?
Well, like we take the risk and worry that it'll all go wrong, but if it goes right, then it's good for us.
Yeah.
And it is going right. It's going right.
It's going super well.
Yeah, certainly never like planned on doing this as a job. But here we are. We fixed some stuff. Should we talk about that?
Yeah. We had a big day on Wednesday.
New curtain, new stage clock, new notice
I keep forgetting
board.
to get the curtain rod for downstairs.
New curtain for downstairs that will be up once Matt gets a rod.
Yeah.
Painted. Turns out the whole clubhouse is made out of paper mache.
Oh my goodness.
The second you try and paint any of the walls, even if you like sand it down and scrape it down and everything, the second you try and paint the walls, it just like peels off the old paint in clumps and then like repastes it back on the same wall in like a weird lumpy fashion. So I spent most of the afternoon painting different rooms, and I think one part looks better, and then like the green room door looks way worse now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I very much wasted time and money in order to make the whole green room outside area look like trash.
Yeah, that day was a little disappointing in the end, right? Because we did a lot of work, and there's just very little to show for it.
Yeah, because we emptied out the office entirely. So a lot of it's just like getting all the stuff out and then putting all the stuff back in, right? So we did make space like storage more efficient, but only for a few more barrels of beer, really. Probably 5 more barrels of beer we can now store in the office, which is good. Like space is at a premium, but
it looks way better in the office.
It looks a lot better in the office, and it's good that like Javi's organized it himself and he kind of knows where everything is.
Yeah, he's really done a great job of like taking control and being like, "Yo, this is."
Yeah. He'll tell people off. He'll tell me off.
Yeah.
We're doing a new system where I now pay for drinks at the clubhouse. Well, everyone sort of does, I guess. So I'm getting him to keep a tab for me, and I'm paying it at the end of the night. So I tried to get away last night without paying.
Really?
He stopped me. He was like,
"Oh shit!"
Yeah. He's a mean boss. But that's what we need.
Yeah, he really has put things in order.
And lots of praise from lots of people about him. Like Harris was saying, like, yeah, you found a good one. Chubby.
Oh, he brought his family in on Monday. He brought his sister by and a few friends, and they were all super lovely.
Yeah, that's cool. He gets the vibe.
Yeah.
I think. Which is
Well,
cool.
and it was cool because he said afterwards, like, I don't know if it was his sister or one of his friends from London, but they pulled him aside and be like, "Yo, now I understand why you're so happy working here." I was like, "Yeah, yeah,
That's the advantage of creating a positive, friendly vibe
yeah."
for sure. Um, do we want to talk about the clubbies?
Oh, let's hear. Is there anything left on our list of improvements, things that we did? Got more glasses in.
Yeah, hung curtains. We're gonna have a notice board.
Did you try the wireless mics last night?
I tried the wireless mics. They work fine. I didn't try. We didn't have them for the show last night, but I just tested them.
Yeah.
Um, the water pump was the biggest waste of money. I don't know. I got ahead of myself and I was like, we're going. It's 2022. We're in the future. I'm gonna get technological stuff and it's gonna be the best. And so I got like an electronic water pump for that we can put on top of the water bottles. And the water bottles we have are too small, so you have to kind of like pull the pump up out of the water bottle before it'll even work. And then when you're holding it up in the air, it's really, really slow. And I kind of knew at the time. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if this worked and was great? But I definitely should have just gotten one of the hand pump things.
Or let's get one of those spigots. Put the bottle on its side and then
Yeah.
just twist the knob or whatever.
Seems like we should move to bigger water bottles.
Well, we could do the office cooler. We could.
Yeah. Although I really do think, especially for like Spanish shows, stuff like that, people come in, they see an office water cooler in the corner, and they go, "Oh, I guess it's just free water that we
Drinking for
can
free
drink for
tonight."
free. Don't need to have a beer anymore because
I
why would I have a beer?"
I think we should still have that on offer. I
Yeah.
understand it does set up the poor incentive, but
I mean, maybe we'd like cover it in a sheet in the evenings. I mean, we do want it during the day because we do want to sort of create a cool, officey
yeah.
vibe. Um, so yeah, I can sort that out.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more in the way of improvements. We'll have to
Well,
have another. We'll have to organize downstairs and stuff.
yeah, so we'll have to make the new sign for the stage.
Yeah,
We'll hire an editor, someone who knows words.
yeah, someone that can spell. Well, you write the sign, and then we'll get Hannah or someone to proofread it real quick
Yeah.
before it goes to print.
What if we just put a big red X on the extra E downstairs?
I like
would that
it.
satisfy people?
I think it would be perfect. Um. So yeah. Anyway, I might get that done on Etsy. I think you can get it done kind of cheap, maybe for a couple of
I
hundred
could
euros.
paint it myself.
Yeah. Honestly, if we found the right wood and like did it neatly, we could just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
I think it would be fine. I mean, the graphic design logo that we have is kind of like a rustic looking bit of recycled wood anyway. So,
Yeah.
um, and it's part of the charm. Part of the charm of the clubhouse is that it has this like do it yourself vibe, but like if a 14-year-old did it.
Yeah.
That's the theme. Yeah, it's been kind of a relaxing week, or I felt like it's been a bit. It's just like everything slowed down here a little bit. You know, like last night was
Oh my
quiet
goodness.
here.
It absolutely slowed down.
Mhm.
From probably like Saturday on. Cuz the last what like 3 weeks have been super intense just because we've been super busy. A lot of like each night seemed to have like a 50 or 60 seater show
Yeah,
and things on top of that.
I wonder if it's. We'll see how tonight goes, but I wonder if it's like end of the month vibes.
Should be. Honestly, I'm kind of expecting it to be quiet tonight.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah. We'd only
God.
sold like 5 in
Oh, good.
advance for Bomb Shelter,
All right.
but that's we'll still sell 20 or 30 at the door. I'd say.
Yeah. What was it? I think for typical adult behavior on Wednesday, we had like 4 pre-sales, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna suck." And then probably 20 walk-up sales.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
All right, you want to talk about the clubbies?
I want to talk about the Clubbies, the first annual Clubhouse Awards ceremony. We do have quite a few ceremonies here for a comedy club.
Up to 10 now.
Oh, nice, 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 nice. And actually, the Philip Kostelecki's show's selling pretty well as well. He was on 15 last time I checked.
Oh, hey, just a piece of Clubhouse business while we're at it. Your friend, the improver.
Yeah.
So have you booked that for Friday? Does he want a Thursday at 9 o'clock spot?
Oh, the thing is, his friend is coming in from out of town, so I think he's coming for the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
Well, because we have on Watch the Space, 9 o'clock is supposed to be an improv showcase time slot.
Okay, you mean like a weekly slot for him?
Or I don't know about weekly, but certainly monthly. It's just we were looking. So just to give the listeners the background, John's friends with a professional improver from London who's got a great show up there at Angel. Or
He started doing Backyard when it first began, and then he was going over to perform at the Stand
okay.
recently.
Luke Manning, right?
Luke Manning, yeah.
And yeah, an old Lukey boy was looking to come perform in Barcelona. We were like, oh, let's give him a spot, this or that. But I was just thinking, like, if he's coming to town, let's try to get him on Tab and then on Watch the Space.
Totally. Well, he lives in Barcelona, right? So he'll fly over to London to do improv shows from time to time. But I met him on the cruise ship.
Really?
Yeah, that's how we know.
He had been by to our Limerick location.
Yeah. He knew Limerick. He knew you actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, super excited for that show. I gotta say that's how it like clicked to me that Hannah's doing a really really good job, or that people are very excited to book shows in here because Luke messaged me. He was like, "Look, is there anything we can do? I'd love to do a show. My friend's coming to town. Loads of people want to see me." And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna find you something great." Like start of December, and we start looking through the calendar. He's like 2 weekends, pretty flexible timing wise. And I'm just throwing out the worst suggestions for him. I'm like, hey, what about like 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, you know? And genuinely like wanting to give him the best spot I can, but kind of being like, that's all we have, you know?
Yeah, I had the same thing with Deveron, right? Because he's like, oh, can I set up a show and do my 30? I was like, of course. We'll find you a spot. How hard can it be? And yeah, I told Hannah, she's like, it's pretty much all booked. And I was like, no way. Come on, there's got to be like a 11 o'clock spot or something, or 8 on a Friday. And nope.
Yeah, we had to turn down a relatively well-known comedian from doing their solo show. Presumably they wanted like a 9 o'clock or a 10:30 slot on a Friday or a Saturday. But
yeah,
if you want to perform at the Clubhouse, get in line. Basically, is the message.
Sign up for spots. That's your best way to perform here, I guess.
Yeah, there's a huge bias in the Barcelona comedy scene towards comedians that plan their lives in advance or like have
Hold on. No, this is a new piece of Johnny Boy ideology that he's
I think that we should have more stand-up comedy shows in Barcelona where you can just rock up and perform when you arrive. Show up, go up. I think it's the best show in town.
Or Shit Mike.
Or Shitty Mike. Or Shitty Mike has like 2 spots I think you can walk in.
No, the whole thing is a walk up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or Shitty Mike, also a very...
it's 2 spots that are like featured.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, I think we were talking last night about like whether there's a little bit of
See, John thinks that the scene is biased towards people that are organized and planning because you sign up for spots a month or 2 in advance, and then the whole schedule is booked. And then there's our free spirits who live by the seat of their pants, and they want to come into town and do a spot or whatever, and then they see, oh no, everything's already booked. There's nothing for them.
I think actually that some of the best performers might be the people that are disorganized in their admin life. They haven't like wasted a good portion of their life learning how to do calendars properly, so they've probably spent more time focusing on how to be a good performer, I think because we were talking last week about how whether there's an advantage or whether there's like an exclusion that happens based on who the showrunner knows and who their friends are and stuff.
That definitely happens.
Definitely happens. But by far the biggest advantage you can have is not being friends with the showrunners. It's being like organized in advance and like messaging often. And
yeah, it's usually better if the showrunner doesn't know who you are or has seen your comedy before. Because they'll give the benefit of the doubt to like a newbie
Totally.
or like somebody new to the city. But if they know that you do racist jokes, because we've got a couple performers here in the city that they're finding their way, and they've tried some difficult topics and it hasn't worked out. And now they find that really the only mics they can do are a shitty mic
Yeah, that's a little too
and
bad.
show up, go up.
Especially in the case
And
of
that's citywide,
yeah.
Imperfecto now is heavily curated.
He's calling it a fresh material mic.
Atomic is no longer, or at least is still on hiatus.
Oh, okay. Someone else is doing something in Paraguas.
Yeah, but that's on Thursdays. It's called
Mhm.
Lights Out, I think. It's ran by Jamie Lerner.
Yeah.
Uranus only taking heavy hitters. That's a great line, by the way. Uh, Uranus is only taking the big ones. And what other mics are there?
Anyway, we'll take whoever,
Mint.
right? Give us your homeless. Give us your weak. Give us your, I don't know, Statue of Liberty thing.
So this new mic in Poblenou on Wednesdays.
Have the new Imperfecta?
No, maybe it is. I don't know where it's at actually. Gemma and Kate, their show.
Katie.
They might be taking more fresh.
I think
Fresh
there's
acts.
stuff. I really think there's stuff that's cropping up. Feels like every week there's a new thing that
Yeah.
comes along.
Well, I mean, as always, Barcelona is a vibrant and dynamic scene. But there's just a couple of our performers who are struggling to find spots elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad.
And I just would love if our other showrunners, had just carve out one spot for a comedian, and then
Yeah, I think there has been a debate recently is like if Imperfecto can be counted as an open mic or whether it should be sort of labeled something different. I think Andy can call it whatever he wants, but I do love what Hush Hush used to do, which is that like 5 minute slot every week that is for kind of a new comedian or is like you can set expectations and the show can be as good or maybe even better if you do that.
Yeah, for Bomb Shelter, I know that I can handle two
We can
new
say it.
performers.
We're nothing on this podcast if not honest.
Yeah, like with that show, and maybe I'm overconfident, but and me hosting, I know that we can float some bad performers. We can float some shit that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And it only like highlights how good the other comedians are going to do. Like it doesn't hurt the show at all.
We did,
and I like that. And I like the idea of giving these people like a shot on the big stage, like fucking performing to 60 people. It's a thrill.
I mean, we did get just a treat when we were coming up, right? Like the fact that we were able to go to Craft every single Wednesday and like bomb our socks off and know that like the next week there was only like 4 people that would do that show at the time. So you just every week we'd go and you'd get the drinks, you'd get paid for it. You'd get paid decently for hosting. You'd have a fresh crowd, often quite a bad crowd. But yeah, just having the freedom to do that and like Big Bang Bar and all of that,
Yeah.
So there's not the same, or there's more people now competing over the stage time that is available.
Yeah. Well, and it must be tough to be starting right now because we have a lot of great comics.
Yeah.
And it's without these bad shows to go and be bad at, it's hard to get your reps in.
Yeah, maybe we should see if we can pull off a bad show at the Comedy Clubhouse. Do you think it would even be possible at this stage?
We've tried. I feel like we've tried, and every show comes out great.
It's literally like when I came up with the idea for Show Up, Go Up, it was based on the when I started comedy in Chicago, these nights where 20 comedians would go up. They'd all write their name down on a list and you'd wait around and you'd perform 3 minutes of comedy in front of all the other comedians that were there. And no audience would ever come. And that's all I did. And that's what I planned on it being. And people do really seem to love the very laid back vibe of the whole thing. It's just
Shitty Mike works on the same principle, and it was the same thing. Jamie was like, "No, in New York we have these mics and they suck, but like it's a good thing, and it's now one of our top shows."
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I met with the people of Watch This Space yesterday, and if you guys don't know Watch This Space, it's an improv jam. It's a nice community. It's the one place where anybody can go and do improv. You don't need to have taken classes. You don't need to have passed an audition or this or that. And so it's good for that. But the organizers, but it's a rough show. It's not. I'll just say it's not very well hosted or produced. It's everybody shows up and they're like, what game are we play? Let's play the Dutch oven or whatever they call it. And then they play the game.
It's my favorite.
And then I think it stinks. And then they, they try to figure out what's the rule again? Oh, yeah, this or that. And so last night I met with them. I told them that, hey, we're going to move your show to Wednesdays, and I would like to see it run better. And they're like, well, hey, but this thing started as just like an alternative to the corporate system that is big improv or, typical, really improv in general. It's always like class-based or whatever. And they're like, it's supposed to be a loose, informal affair. It's supposed to be welcoming, so that people who don't know how to be on stage can get on stage. And I was trying to explain, like, yeah, you can have it be loose, but still run tightly. It's yes, that's where you started, but now you need to step it up. I mean,
For sure.
like Bomb Shelter, the reason why I always loved it was that same. It's low production. Like I could just rock up and the crowd will be the crowd, but like it'll be a good show. And
yeah, it's just a simple man with a microphone, so it can be like
yeah.
simple and like low produced in that way, but there's certain organizational things that just make a show run better for everyone. There's like a show, I don't know, just having clear instructions works for all the people.
I think the thing is the audience needs to know that there's a plan and there's like a direction. They need to feel safe, I guess, in that way. And that's all you need. Like you don't I had suggested writing all the games down on index cards and with their rules or whatever, so you could just whip one out. And somebody was like, oh, "Are you saying that this needs to be scripted?" It's like not scripted, but just prepared for,
Yeah,
So
have a couple of notes.
yeah, it's not hard, but it's funny because or for me, what it was funny about it is just seeing pure development, like being like, oh yeah, I remember when shows were a mess and I had no idea what I'm doing, and now, and Bomb Shelter is still kind of ran from the hip, but with a structured, structure in a structured way. So I guess that's all just a long way of saying that there is development, and I'm trying to push some other people through the pipeline now.
I was talking with Tamara about this when we had lunch the other day. And he was saying what he loves about the Barcelona scene, and I think he's spot on, is that it leans more towards the creative side than, in his opinion, Berlin does, which is much more sort of financially focused. Everybody that's running a show is running a show to make money from it.
Yeah.
Which I think that sort of the creative side of things, and he gave the specific reference of Andy Casper, who who does just focus mostly on the creative stuff, right? And that's a good place to start. But you do need the business side of things for it to keep going long term. There has to be like a financial upside or a reason to keep doing it. Like people coming to the show and paying money to see the show is the petrol that you pour into the creative engine that keeps the creative engine going, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's so on the improv side of things, I've noticed that none of them expect to get paid ever for anything, and it actually doesn't seem to be like an incentive at all. So I let typical adult behavior perform on Comedy Bomb Shelter, and then when I go to pay them, they're like, "Oh, really? Here, why don't you unlock the door, and I'll make a few announcements." Ladies and gentlemen, of course, if you're listening today, be sure to come out and check out Comedy Bomb Shelter. That's right, Barcelona's longest-running stand-up comedy show, and dare I say, best, every Friday night at 10 o'clock at the Comedy Clubhouse. Be sure to also check out our new open mic Sunday nights. It's called Fat Goose Comedy. It's an open mic ran by Darren Cullen, Ewan, and is a great time. And now, welcome back, John Alice.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. We'll leave Noah outside for now, right? We'll just wrap up this, and then he's gonna play board games at the clubhouse with us.
Oh, sure. God, it's late. Okay.
Yeah. So,
man, the time really flies. So yeah, we'll have to come back to that improv versus stand-up free. The reason why I was bringing it up though is that the improvers really perform for themselves, and then stand-ups are performing for the audience.
Yeah, that's kind of a critical difference between improv and stand-up. Improv makes money as a industry, let's say, from improv classes, from people that want to do improv and corporate gigs, corporate like team building trainings and stuff like that. Cool. Can we touch quickly on the clubbies? We haven't gotten to it.
I've been making you avoid that. Sorry.
I am very excited to announce the first annual Clubhouse Awards ceremony, which we're going to do on the 31st of December. And it's going to be very, very exclusive. It'll be invite only, but hopefully we'll be able to invite at least all the people that listen to this podcast. Certainly all the comedians in town. I'd love it if they were there. And we're going to buy trophies, get some cute little comedy trophies, and nominate people for different prizes. So I'm taking nominations from anyone to anyone for any reason at all. So
yeah, think of your favorite category, like best comedian named Matt, which is I'm certainly going to nominate myself for.
Yeah, worst clubhouse bartender.
Ooh.
Tough competition.
Yeah.
Neck and neck, me and you.
Can we give it to Carlos?
Oh, well, he has been a pretty bad bartender recently.
Yep. He hasn't shown up in months.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that it's going to be a really fun way to do New Year's. There's kind of two ways to play it, right? There's like most places just try and make as much money out of New Year's as possible. So one thing we could do is just do like 50 euros a head, drink all you want, and we make, 3,000 euros that night or whatever.
I wonder I wonder what the price you would have to put to make sure that you're in a profit and nobody drinks you under.
Oh, for probably 20 euros.
50.
People do put it at like 50 or 80 or 100 for New Year's, right?
Anyway.
Because it's so overcrowded.
But we're not going to do that?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I think now we're focused on building brand and community, and I love the place that Mila and Irene were just having like a meeting here yesterday, for example, and I think that's cool. I love it. The clubhouse being the place that people think of to meet, to do, to be together, and
all things comedy.
So we're just gonna try and do something nice, try and do something cool for the people that want to be cool and hang out.
Hell yeah.
Constructing the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Good episode.
Absolutely. Wrap it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Constructing the Clubhouse. Thank you for listening. Be sure to tune back in next week at our regular scheduled time. I've been Dr. Matthew Murtha.
I've been John Ellis.